live from the Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Raging Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene and no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the first episode of Rage and Review in 2026, the year of our Lord. I think that's how you say it, right? We're going to ask KG. He's in the KCs. He knows about all that. KG and the KCs. What's up, baby? It's good to see all of y'all back here for a fun night of, just kind of talking Cajun sports again, because it's been a while. You know, we took a little break for the new year. We did a pre-New Year show, but now it's good to be back and do a post-New Year show. We're going to talk about some of the shenanigans we've been up to, by the way, because KG didn't participate, Jerry didn't participate, but Lane certainly did. I know Josh was there as well, as were some of the Rage and Review viewers that listened to my APB that I sent out on Twitter. Say, hey, we're going to meet and greet right now, Legends and Scots, and we'll talk about that in a little bit and what went down there from what I remember, because Lane, by the time you got there, was pretty sauced. And when we come back, we'll talk about that, and we'll get into football, baseball, and all the fun stuff. All right, let's do it. We'd like to thank the following partners who make Rage and Review possible. Our title sponsor, the Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit the Best Stop and ask about the Rage and Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7. Lafayette Roofing. The Yard Goat. Yes Please Branding and Marketing. Old Time Grocery. Stride Safety Solutions. Eat Lafayette, brought to you by Lafayette Travel. Rage and Hydration. And Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message forum for Rage and Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/Rage and Review. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. And thanks to the folks over at the Best Stop Cajun Market. Of course, the original OG mothership in Scott is 40 years old, y'all. Almost as old as me. I'm kidding. I'm older than it. But anyway, me and Damon went to school together for a little bit. Damon is the son of Mr. Robert Cormier. He was one of the owners. He and Mr. Lawrence Menard opened it up in 1986. Shout out to Miss Brunella and Miss Carol, because you know you can't do it without your wives backing you up. And then the kids took it over, and yeah, they've done a lot of great stuff since then. So shout out to the Best Stop, our title sponsor. Awesome people, man. You know, you get sponsors, and it's always nice to have sponsors, but when it's people from Scompton, man, you know, you can't go wrong with that. So thanks to those folks. They're awesome as always. All right, boys, let's talk about our New Year's celebration. My New Year's celebration was pretty tame. You know, we sat and drank in the backyard with the neighbors. We popped, I think, $700 worth of fireworks. It was absolutely insane. Fireworks are being launched between, I think, 7 o'clock and probably 5 a.m. the next morning, because my dog was not happy. But it was a good time, man. We do fireworks different in Texas. It's a whole nother country, brother. But before the New Year's celebrations, which I'll get to asking you guys how that went for you, did want to say we had a nice little gathering over at Legends and Scott. Thankfully, nobody got arrested, which was awesome, which is always a concern when you go to Legends and Scott because you have them T-boys out there that always want to start some shit. But thankfully, it was a great night. We saw our boy Ryan came out. Josh and his lovely wife were there. Ryan and his fiance, by the way. Ryan Landry is now, engaged. So he and his fiance were out hanging out with us. Let's see who else. Doug Edwards was out there. And then two of my cousins, who one of them I never met, showed up. So two of my cousins showed up. There were some couillons. We had a good time. Lane, I got to ask you this honest question. Did I look sauced when you got there? Because I got to tell you, I remember closing out and I think I gave him an expired card or so. I don't know what, like I was so out of it. I don't know where I was. Everything ended up well. My car drove me home, which was awesome. But did I look, I thought I held it I held it together. Did I not?
I mean, you were talking a lot, but you looked tired more than drunk.
I was exhausted, man. That was a long day. I mean, we did the whole family thing before. You had just gotten in from Monroe or Houston. Was it Houston?
No, 3 hours north of Houston.
Yeah. Good Lord. So you had a long day, but it was good to see you. That was a lot of fun. KG, I know you didn't make it out. Y'all were probably praying for my soul. KG over there, man. Got to hold it down for me. But tell me, what did y'all do for, the Christmas to New Year's Eve break?
Yeah, so for Christmas we made the trek all around Lafayette. I mean, my family's huge. My wife's family's huge, and we had about 2 or 3 different celebrations for Christmas. Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. So we went around the world and back between Judy's, Cankton, parts of Lafayette. For New Year's, it was fun, man. We got together with Luke Burbank, who's a friend of the pod, who's cooked for us a couple times. His older brother, Derek, they live out in Judy's, and they have a very nice setup. All the kids were out there, Luke's kids, my kids, Derek's kids. It was fun, man. They have a little dead-end road, and their across-the-street neighbors are known for having big, New Year's celebrations with thousands of dollars worth of fireworks. So I would say between the fireworks that we put up and them, you were probably looking at about $1,500 worth of fireworks that we popped from basically 9 p.m. nonstop through, I would say, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was a fun time. The kids loved it, and they were troopers. They actually stayed up, all 3 of them, through midnight. So it was a good time, man. It's a blessing seeing my kids starting to get a little bit older in their toddler ages. They're 5, 3, and the youngest one is about to be 1. So it's fun, man. It's a good time to be a dad.
Bro, I was my eyes were getting heavy about 9 o'clock, and then somebody brought out some Jello shots, and I'm like, hell no. And then we had the gummy conversation last week, right? Where I told you all about my bad. That did not happen. That will never happen. I was offered. I was like, hell no. So that was not going on, but it was a fun time indeed. But I did miss you for the post Christmas shenanigans. Yeah. Next time we'll have to plan it better. Jerry, you missed out on the post. Well, I'm going to give you shit because you missed on that post Christmas shenanigans. However, the next night, there was a gathering, I think Yard Goat, shout out Yard Goat. There was a gathering at the Yard Goat, and your boy, you were going to come hang out at my parents' house, and I was going to light a fire. I did not get off that damn couch. I was toe up from the night before. I'm too old for this shit, Jerry. So I can't give you shit for not showing up because I could not leave the house. I was tired.
Yeah. So this was the night after Christmas when y'all had the shenanigans.
Right.
Kayla, funny thing, Kayla, so it was me, Kayla, and Allie, we decided to go look at Christmas lights because the Christmas lights are still up and nobody does it. We went on Antigua Drive and we were like the only people there instead of having to wait in line the week before for 3 hours. So we usually go see Christmas lights the night after Christmas when nobody goes. So we just got to go all around Lafayette. And when I saw you were doing a little rendezvous, I'm like, man, of all nights, I couldn't wait till tomorrow to do it. And then whenever we decided, or whenever I was like, well, I'll come meet y'all on Saturday, it was just Doug and I at Yard Goat with one of his friends, and we ended up
we were
at
all
Tap
like,
Room.
nope, we
Everybody's
ain't
like,
going.
yeah, but it was funny because I actually had some friends at Tampico's that met up that I hadn't seen in a while, and so that's when I called you, Nick, and you were like, because you had texted me before. I think you and your family went to dinner.
We went to dinner,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, and it was like 9:00 at night, and you're like, "Yeah, Jerry, I'm about to fall asleep." I'm like, "Really,
Dude,
really?"
I was tired, man.
But no,
I was
it's
tired the
fine.
night before. Ask Lane. He even said it. I was wore out. I was worn out, bro.
Let me tell you, so when I met Doug at the Goat, man, I think I was the oldest person in there that night because it was like, man, it felt like the strip moved there for one night, and there was a ton of people, and then we ended up at Tap Room, like I said, and that was the first time in a while I'd been to Tap Room. Tap Room was more chill, but it was packed, so it was an eventful night, nothing too crazy. And then for New Year's, to your point, same thing in our neighborhood. Had a friend down the street, had the half the neighborhood there, and shot $700-800 worth of fireworks and had a blast. He cooked up a good meatball stew, which was off the chains, and we all just had a great time. The kids had a blast. Allie, she's become a pyro girl. She wanted to play with the sparklers. She wanted to play with this. She wanted to play with that. Kayla and I had to kind of pull her away and tell her, sweetie, not too much on the fireworks. Let's just watch. And Kayla and I, popped champagne at midnight, and New Year's Day we watched the playoff games and cooked some cabbage with some black-eyed peas and rice. Parents came over and just chilled on New Year's Day. And this weekend, we have a birthday party to plan for Allie as she turns 4 on Saturday. So while everybody else gets to kind of relax after New Year's, we just have more events coming down the pipeline, but should be a good time. All three of us in our house have January birthdays, so it's going to be very eventful this month, but worthwhile. It's like almost from Halloween till like Mardi Gras. It's almost like everything just kind of happens consistently or consecutively. It's just you just blink and it flies by, but should be a fun month. And I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. 2026 already, guys. It just kind of showed up out of nowhere.
Thanks for landing that plane, Jerry, because I was about to cut you off. But hey, we got a full rundown of your time with family. So thank you very much, guys.
There you go.
Let's start talking about Cajun sports because we are in the new year of not our Lord, of the year of Lunch Winfield. And one of the bad things about this time of the year is you have the transfer portal going on for football, and relatively unscathed are the Cajuns. Nothing that is really standing out as far as crucial losses. Obviously, Lunch coming back is a huge plus for our offense. You've got guys like, Caden Jensen, really the whole tight end room is expected to stay. We did lose, obviously, 3 running backs. That is, it's yet to be seen whether or not that's going to be a huge impact on the team in 2026. But just going down the list, Bryant Williams is a pretty solid. We think he's going to go. I think there's a 99.8% chance Bryant Williams will be going to Florida State. Zylan Perry has committed to Tennessee. Bill Davis heading to Virginia Tech. Hunter Swilley still uncommitted. And we've got a couple of other guys. I'm trying to pull up, let's see. Who else is in the portal, guys? I just lost my, we had Drennan Fight. I think he's in the portal as well.
Charles Robertson.
Robertson is in the, yes.
Lorenzo
and Fitzgerald
DeBose.
West. Lorenzo DeBose, Fitzgerald West Jr., guys who played, but I don't know. Is there anyone that has hit the portal that you're looking at? And I'll go around the horn on this. Of those mentioned, are there any guys that have hit the portal that you're like, damn, we can't lose that guy, or man, that one hurts? As of right now, I think Zylan for me is a guy that I was like, damn, couldn't keep Zylan. Outside of that, there's nobody. Look, and this is not a shot at any of the other guys. It's just in reality, reality, it is what it is. It's next man up, and we got to figure out what we're going to do going forward. KG, is there anybody that, I'm sorry, and Bryce's, they had him on 100% committed to Tennessee, but I don't know if that's updated. That's what On3 had tonight. But anyway, KG, your thoughts, anybody that we're losing in the portal that really for you hurts?
Yeah, the big 3. to me, and that's the two running backs and Bryant Williams. It hurts losing Bryant Williams because you're already pretty thin at offensive line, and he was one of the better offensive linemen on our team, so losing him does hurt. Now, you mentioned he's most likely projected to land at Florida State, which, funny enough, is my second favorite team, so I'm going to be able to keep up with him, down the road. But yeah, losing the two running backs hurts, man. Zylan Perry, Bill Davis, I mean, those are names well known in Lafayette households. They've both individually created a brand for themselves here, and I do thank them for their time here. And, Bill Davis landed at Virginia Tech with James Franklin, and I expect Virginia Tech to be a damn good opponent next season and much improved. And I hope Bill Davis gets to touch the rock a lot out in Virginia. But I tell you what, man, we're expecting big things from Stephen Blanco and, from Smith and those other guys to step up. But to say that, it's just a stepping stone, we hope that. And it's because UL has been so blessed at the running back position. And y'all know that. We, for years now, for probably the last 2 decades, starting around the Tyrell Finroy, time and going back that way. We've just been so blessed at running back, and I hope that continues. But when you lose your 2 starting running backs to the portal, that's never an easy feeling. Now, like I mentioned, I'm hoping that Stephen Blanco is going to step up next year big time and fill those shoes, and take the rock and run with it, literally. But yeah, that's the big 3. Bryant Williams losing an offensive lineman where we were already thin kind of hurts, and then definitely losing your 2 starting running backs.
Yeah, and look, it hurts. I think what hurts more is Bajeron leaving. I think, to me, that hurts more than the guys leaving, because he was a key part to our running backs room being so not only talented but developed since they've been here. He's
been here for what, close to a decade,
8 years,
right?
Yeah.
So it's the continuity in that running back room. Yeah, of course, losing him, and his knowledge in that room is going to hurt.
Now, the good news is running backs are not hard to find. I think we're going to get, we'll go back to the portal, get some guys signed, look at high school guys. So, that's what we have to look forward to. Thank you, by the way, Chris, for chiming in. Cheers to better 2026. Look, man, we'll talk about the Grammys tonight. Just a little preview is what's going to go right and what's going to go wrong for Louisiana in 2026. So get those thoughts, and we'll share that later. Don't give us your answers yet, because we're going to go around the horn. But Jerry, your thoughts? Is there anybody? I'm sorry, Cole, you want to say something?
I do. I want to kind of share a laughing moment. So there is one kid in the portal. And it's a name you guys might recognize because he is from Lafayette. Amari Wiggins was a starting running back for Louisiana Tech, and he is a graduate of Acadiana High School. I am not too proud to admit that I slid in his DMs and I said, "Hey, man, we need a running back. Why don't you come on home?" But I don't think he's taking a visit to UL, unfortunately. But I did slide in his DMs, and I was like, "Man, we could use some veteran leadership back in this running back room."
I completely agree. That used to be frowned upon, and now it's the Wild West. So screw it. I don't care. Offer him money, whatever we got to do. Jerry, don't really. We didn't say that. Jerry, anybody on the hitting the transfer portal that you're gonna miss this year?
Yeah, obviously losing Bill and Zylan sucks. I mean, they were kind of the bread and butter of our rushing attack, and of course they're veteran guys. They've had 3 or 4 years of experience, so that hurts. I mean, that's going to hurt no matter what. But we kind of understood before the season ended that they were going to try to find other opportunities, and we kind of talked about that. Midway through the season, I want to say Bill was talked out of leaving last year. So both guys are trying to find better opportunities. I hate this game of transfers and whatnot, because obviously selfishly we lose them, but it is what it is, and they're gone. Another player that kind of surprised me was in the receiving corps, Charles Robertson. I kind of expected him to come back next year, only because I felt like with Lunch coming back, that chemistry between quarterback and receiver could only get better. And, this year, if you really look at our receiving corps, not many guys had many receptions outside of Rob Williams, who graduated. He was a senior. He's leaving. He's gone. And then also, not to mention, Sheldon Sampson was your main go-to guy, but you also have Landon Struther in there, who has kind of been more of a role guy in the receiving corps. So I kind of expect Charles Robertson to be in that number as well. And now that he's gone, it makes me wonder how the dynamics of the receiving corps is going to change next year, because I expected him to be more present next season. So that was kind of a shock to me. Fitzgerald West, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. He got better as the season went on. But, you know, going into this season, we didn't really, I don't know. I don't know what the expectations were for him. You know, he made some decent plays in the last couple weeks of the year, but, you know, he never really panned out to be that guy. And so, yeah, the one that shot me the most, believe it or not, was Charles Robertson, just because I thought he could have been more of a household name next year with the opportunity of Lunch coming back and Rob Williams leaving, playing alongside Sheldon Sampson. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to pan out with the receiving core. I don't know if we really brought in anybody in particular. We'll probably have to go in the portal like we did with Sampson last year, go get another guy with some experience. But yeah, those were kind of my surprise. My main surprise was Charles Robertson.
All right, Lane, what are your thoughts? Anybody that you're going to miss this year?
Well, it kind of sucks when 2/3 of your rushing attack enters the portal, with Lunch being the only mainstay left. And I was honestly surprised that Blanco did not enter the portal, because we heard that all season long that he was going to enter the portal. His parents even said that. His family said that. And here he is, and he's still on the team. So that's a little bit more of a shock than actually Bill and Zylan going in the portal. But as far as incoming people, it's kind of hit and miss, I think. I mean, we have a player from Tulane, an offensive lineman, that actually signed. The rest are just offers as of now, but it'll be interesting to see how we attack the portal once more dominoes fall.
Yeah, and look, we had some signees in the fall as well. And is it Keyrion Smith? Am I saying that right? Because I know he signed from Holy Cross. He's a 3-star prospect. I think he's going to be good. And that might be, as Bryce said, might be the whole reason that we signed him, you know, coming in as a high school kid. And I'm with Bryce as well. I want to keep Shelton Sampson. I know he had a rough start. Now we found out why he was injured. But also, man, look, I'm going to knock on some wood here. It's late. It's late for guys to be entering the portal. And Brent Gordon Jr. has not announced he's entering the portal. My man, if you want some boudin, whatever you need, we'll hook you up. But Brent Gordon Jr. is one guy that we need to keep. Now, I do notice we have a focus on some guys from universities I've never heard of. You know, D2 universities, FCS schools. I'm okay with that, boys. I'm okay with that. I think we need to figure out what our recruiting strategy is. And look, you sign high school kids with talent, but you also, when the portal opens and you have guys leaving, then the way you counter that is signing guys in the portal, but it doesn't have to be guys that played at these big name schools. It doesn't have to be.
Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback at Ole Miss, came from a Division II school,
exactly.
Not an FCS, Division II school, and now he's playing starting quarterback for a semifinal team. I mean, sometimes you can be a diamond in the rough. I mean, and you know, one thing I wanted to add to Lane's point about Steven Blanco, one of the reasons why he's coming back is, look, those guys talk. They talk in the locker room. I mean, to his point, both you lose your top two rushers. Well, he's the man now. He's the guy. And then you got Darrell Smith behind him and hopefully Corinne Smith behind him. And I mean, Steven, even though he's had, he played 5 games or 6 games last year, he is the man. And we've seen what he's done in his small amount of experience. So it kind of actually works into a more of a branding thing for him, just like Lunch. I mean, local guy from St. Martinville, you can be the man. I think that's a golden opportunity for him, and I expect Darrell Smith to get a lot more carries next year too. I still think we need to go get somebody in the portal though. I'd go get somebody from an FCS or somewhere else, build some depth there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lane. I know you had a thought. What's up?
I was gonna say, just go like I mentioned in the group chat earlier. Go get the kid from Illinois State that just entered the portal.
That went
off. Yeah,
Little Edelman
in the championship game. Yeah.
Little Edelman
everybody's going to be going after that kid.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
dude, I watched that FCS game, championship game in the second half. Dylan Lord, they must have called his name 36 times. He must have had 17 catches on the night because I feel like every time they put the ball in the air, he was the one who caught it. So, but yeah, man, great. That was a great game if anybody watched it. That FCS championship was the real deal.
Oh, that was awesome.
And Nick, to your point about getting FCS players, if you look at the top 10 to top 15 ranked FCS teams and you watch them play, a lot of them are fundamentally sound. very assignment driven, very fundamentally sound. They're always in position. I mean, that game the other night, as epic as it was probably one of the better FCS games I've watched in a long time. Those teams were well disciplined. You know, that quarterback from Montana State, you got that receiver we're talking about from Illinois State. I mean, they had some guys, some skilled players that were that I would say bring them here.
But damn, man, you had it's like when we played App State, you had the long snapper that got the yips in the middle of the game. Couldn't hike the ball for a field goal, and then you had the other team that couldn't stay onside. Man, every single offensive snap, it seemed like they were offside because of the noise from Indiana State. So, damn, it's like I wish they didn't have those mistakes in the game because that only gives people an excuse. Well, that's why they're FCS. Dude, it happened to us against App State when we had one of our best seasons ever. So, I just wish I could clean that up. What's that, Lane?
Because I said I felt for the kicker in that game because
me too, man.
He had 2 block kicks back to back almost.
Well, I believe he had
probably won the game.
I think he had signed on like in November. Like he barely played, or I don't even know if he was on the team until like the last couple weeks of the season. So, I mean, imagine just signing on to a team and then you're playing in a national championship game. I mean, yeah, I think they had mentioned that. When they lined up for the field goal, I just had this bad feeling that in a stage like that, I felt for him.
The old rule is you never leave it up to a kicker at any level. Look at the Ravens last week. Tyler Luke misses the field goal for them to win the division, so it can happen at any level. But yeah, back-to-back kicks for Illinois State get blocked, and that's what costed them a national championship. That's a heartbreaker.
That is tough, man, and they played so hard and so well in that game. And look, one of the things I was talking about is, I said this on Twitter, all these people that are saying, man, G5, they need their own playoff. Who was talking about the FCF playoff on social media? Like literally no one. Now, somebody said that their people were on his feed. That's great. You have some great people that you're following. My For You page was nothing about that. They're still talking about Lane Kiffin and that freaking disaster at TSAB, which I am just enjoying every minute of that stupid drama. But yeah, I mean, and I agree with Josh. FCS football feels like the last true like amateur feeling football that kids just want to play hard and are proud of their school and where they're at. And will that get tainted? Probably, because you're already seeing, hell, Oregon, one of the Oregon running backs is already in the freaking portal. And they're playing a semifinal this week. This is obnoxious. The guy who re-signed, and it's funny that we're saying re-signed, but he signed a deal with Washington to come back, the quarterback. And the next thing you know, he pulls out and said he's back in the portal. And LSU's recruiting him. He can't. Like, he literally, it's in the contract that he signed for however many millions of dollars that he cannot enter the portal and communicate with anybody else. And there you got TSAB on the phone trying to get him over there. It's so dirty. I love that they're in the middle of all that, though. Anyway, it just shows how classless that program continues to be.
While they have another quarterback in town for a visit.
Right. Sitting right next to the guy at the basketball game as he's reading the tweets that they're going after this guy in Washington. I'm telling you, man. And it's so funny, by the way. Shout out to RC who tweeted out Matt Moscona from like 6 months ago saying how Lane Kiffin was not an elite head coach and he's terrible. And that's why Ole Miss will never win a championship. And here we are today kissing the boots of Lane Kiffin. It's funny how things change. Guys, I don't know about you, and it's funny that Bill Davis actually liked this tweet because I know that was a passive aggressive attempt to say, hey, I see what you're tweeting. But I sent something out the other day, and I said I really like when they talk about guys where they're going. I don't care. Like when our former players hit the portal, I'm not going to say they're dead to me. I'm not going to wish them any ill will or bad luck. I hope they do well in life, and I hope they find what they're looking for. I'm also have no interest in seeing where they're going. Now, look, I see Terrence Carter, and I'm proud he was a Raging Cajun. I have nothing against Terrence Carter, but I also am not going to care where guys go because I know it's typically about the money. We got former players' parents and current players' parents arguing on social media because one of them's calling him out and the other was saying it's not about money. Nah, bro, it's about the money. So anyway, I just want to ask you guys, Does anybody care where other teams go? I just, or where other players go once they hit the portal. To me, when they hit the portal, they're out. They're not one of us. They're gone. Good luck to you. I see you nodding your head, Cole. You're with me on that one, aren't you?
Sort of. So, of course, you're going to pay attention to it because you don't want a player to leave and then leave laterally, right? So you don't want them to go to a rival. You don't want them to go to a conference opponent. You don't want them to go to an in-state, opponent. Because if you're one of my key players, like for example, let's say Zylan Perry
like
would transfer.
Brooks Wright going to Southeastern.
Well, that's a perfect example in baseball. Yeah. Like that's kind of like a shot. You keep up with it once they leave because you would rather, like in Bill Davis's case, right? Bill is leaving the Cajuns to go play ball at Virginia Tech with James Franklin. I think that's a step up, and I'm proud of the young man for whatever. So kudos to him. But if somebody like that would leave and then go to like a Louisiana Tech or a Southern Miss, that's when things get a little salty, right? Because you're moving laterally instead of like elevating your stock. So to answer your question, yeah, we're diehards, right? Once you leave, the old saying, "Oh, you're dead to me." You're not really dead to me, but like we're moving on mentally. We have to, because if you're not with us, you're against us. It's that kind of mentality. But yeah, the initial, once they leave, you're gonna follow them to see where they go, only because you don't want it to be somewhere that's a rival to the Cajuns. That's kind of why I was giggling and nodding my head along with you.
Man, I gotta tell you, bro. It's like they're not dead to me, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm loyal to a fault. I think that's a Cajun in me. That's my daddy in me. Like I've been offered a lot more money to go to different firms, and I refuse to do it, even to my detriment, dude. I could walk out the door and get a job somewhere else, making twice what I make. But I like where I'm at. I like the people. I like the atmosphere. I like the culture. Jerry, something interesting that KG said, a step up to Virginia Tech. It's a step up in appearance because it's Virginia Tech. But we've seen, Zion go to Houston, and now he's going to Southern. Oh, no, now he's maybe going to Tulane. We see who else was it? It was the wide receiver, Harvey Broussard, go to Houston. He's had, 12 catches for 20 yards on the season. Now, you have TC. That's a diamond in the rough. He went over there, and he's the only reason that Texas Tech was even in the freaking game, somewhat. That almost scored a point. You got guys that go to Alabama on the defensive side of things and do well over there. Trey Amos, the guy had so much talent. But typically, 9 out of 10 times, these guys don't end up in better positions. How many thousands of kids are in the portal right now? Not all of them are going to find a home, and not all of them will find a place to play. So is it really a step up outside of a step up in a kind of appearance that you're going to a bigger school?
Well, there's a fun fact for you. As of today, there's over 9,000 players in the portal right now. 9,000. That's insane, right? About 4 or 5 years ago when the portal started, I was a little more cognizant of where a former Cajun would go, especially the portal started for us when Billy Napier left. So we got to lose Billy, and then we got to lose a bunch of top tier players that went with him and went to other schools. So the year after that, of course, I followed some of the guys. What's his name? Johnson, the running back. I followed obviously Osiris Torrance, and to name a few, and kind of see what they did. Trey Amos, like you said, he made a career for himself and he's playing in the NFL. So I followed those guys a little bit, but I've become so numb to it since then because of how dirty the game has gotten as far as that goes, to where now, like Terrence Carter, for example. Look, I love what he did for us last year. I didn't see one play from Terrence Carter until I turned that game on when they were in the CFP against Oregon. I had heard he was doing well, but I didn't see one play from him until they took on Oregon in the Orange Bowl. That's just where I'm at here. So if a player wants to leave and go off and try to find better opportunities, good for them. Look, I'm a Cajun through and through. And so because we're so numb to it now, it's 3 or 4 years into this system. It's just, I don't care as much anymore if a player leaves. It hurts. It sucks to lose key players, but wherever they go, they're playing for that other team. They're not playing for the Cajuns anymore. So I'm whatever about it at this point. And again, it's the stench that follows with the politics of NIL and the portal and how ridiculous it's gotten that has made me even less interested in caring what other players are doing. And then you got some players that go to 7 or 8 schools, and I'm just like, why should I care? So no, I'm totally numb to it at this point.
This just gives you an idea in the portal, and I know we've got more than 4 at this point. But this is what Hal Razor, he's awesome. He's an Arkansas State guy. He posted this today. Appalachian State leads the Sun Belt with 37 guys in the portal. Georgia State at close second with 32. Then you've got Arkansas State and Coastal Carolina with 24. South Alabama and James Madison with 21. Georgia Southern 16. On and on. We're at the bottom of the list. ULM has 6 and Louisiana at 4. But again, we've had a couple more guys since then. But that just goes to show you this is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how it's supposed to be. You know, they trash us. They tell us we're crap. They told us we don't have a place on the field, and they come take our players and they laugh about it and say, well, you just don't have enough money. Well, no. I mean, TSAB's learning they can't outbid Texas Tech. You know, not many people, and it's not sustainable. We've talked about that before, but anyway, we've talked about football for long enough, boys, because we do have other sports that we want to touch on tonight. Let's talk about basketball, Jerry. What's going on in that world right now?
We're 3-13. We've lost the last 2 games in the final 3 or 4 minutes, and I guess I can say that we've improved at the fact that we've kept it close until the final 4 or 5 minutes, as opposed to in the beginning of the season when we were losing games already in the first half. So I guess that's a little bit of progress, but we got to learn how to win. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We got to learn how to win. When the game's on the line in the final 2 or 3 minutes, you got to know when to have good clock management. You got to know when to call an appropriate timeout. You got to make a key shot when it matters. You got to take a key shot when it matters and know the timing of that. You don't turn the ball over on some careless pass. I mean, we've lost the last 2 games on carelessness in those final minutes. And I just think it's the fact that we have a team that just doesn't know how to win yet. And so it's frustrating because since conference season has started, we have played games close. They have been more respectable. But, you know, not having a point guard right now, like Bryce said, that's very important. I mean, we just found out Jamarian Keller, he's out for the year, which sucks. I mean, that's a big, huge blow to our starting 5. So I just feel like right now we're so depleted on key players and key starters that we're just trying to put a bunch of tape together and hope something comes to fruition. But it doesn't change the fact that the guys are still hustling. They're still playing hard, but we got to learn how to finish. I think Quantas White said it the other day. We don't know how to finish games. We got to learn how to finish games. So, that game against South Alabama last week, same thing, right? Poor clock management, 1 or 2 turnovers here and there. I mean, we had that game won, and they were 10-4, 11-4 coming in. And then the same thing against Southern Miss at home. You had that game won. So, I think once we start finishing games and winning some of these close games, I think things can turn around. I don't have much expectation for the rest of the year. I just want to see this team gel and continue to play well together and improve. But I'm giving this year a pass right now. I'm more curious to see what they do to finish the season. And hopefully we can get some wins before then and then build into next year. I just think right now we're so depleted. We have so many key guys hurt. And again, we need to learn how, before we can do anything, we have to learn how to finish games and find ways to win.
Well, I think that starts with Q. You know, Q's got to learn how to coach too. This is his first gig as a head coach in the college ranks. And he's made some mistakes. You were talking about time management. That's on Q. So he's got to learn as well. But again, I think we're all willing to give him a pass. Big picture people, we want to see the full picture, the full scope of things. And so, we'll see where it leads us. But anything at this point is lagniappe through the end of the year. I just want to see our guys play hard. And I don't think they're, that's what's great to see is that you have a bunch of guys out there still playing hard. And we'll talk about expectations for next year in a little bit. But that's the situation with basketball right now. It's kind of is what it is. But I agree, strength and conditioning across all sports is an issue. I mean, here we go again talking about SEMO being out for the year because of a back issue. Why are we having guys out with back issues when the season haven't even started yet? Now, goes back to strength and conditioning.
They do have 2 chances this weekend, right? So tomorrow night they host ULM in the Cajun Dome. Tip-off, I think, is at 7:30. It's a doubleheader. The women play first. And then on Saturday, they play a noon game against Troy. So, and look, I mean, there's the defending champions of the Sun Belt, Troy. So they're going to be tested on Saturday. They already beat ULM by 14 on the road, so I expect them to win tomorrow night. Hopefully they get the W and build some confidence. And who knows? You play like you did against South Alabama against Troy, and maybe things go your way. But I, like you said, Nick, I just want to see them be competitive. They have to learn how to win first before they can do anything else. Finish games. That's all they have to. That's the main goal, is learn how to finish.
You know it's. Go ahead, KG.
No, I was going to say, and I was thinking about it as you were talking, Jerry. You know what's funny to me? So, we use the injury excuse so much this season in football. We were able to finish 500 or, with the bowl game just under 500. But it was always, what we're doing because of these injuries is spectacular. You know how decimated we are on the basketball side of injuries, and you almost hear nothing about it? Q does not talk about injuries. He does not want to be, that's not the reason why we're losing. We're losing because we're not shooting well enough, or we're losing because we're not hustling enough, or not closing out at the end of games. Those are legitimate excuses, and I am proud of him, a first-year head coach, for not letting injuries be the excuse on why we're dropping games. To go back to the South Al game, I did watch that game, and like I talked about a week and a half ago when we had our last show, at the time we were on a winning streak. I believe 2 or 3 game winning streak, and I said, don't let the momentum go. Right? You want to continue the momentum because that's how you string wins together. And man, the end of that South Al game was brutal because, like you said, Jerry, you had that game won and then you ran out of timeouts with some bad game management at the end of the game. And then South Al really took advantage of that and started pressing you. And then here came the turnovers. And I think we were up by 4 with a minute left to go, and you end up losing, by multiple, points. So, unfortunately, that one got away from us, and then you dropped Southern Miss right after that. So it was just one of those things where, got to close out, because that's the difference between getting back to 500 or staying under 500 to finish out the year. But, we'll see what they can do against ULM tomorrow night.
Did we miss on a coach? I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong. We could look at next year and say, okay, we're still doing the same thing again, and it's not working, and this is just not working out. I don't think we picked the wrong guy. I just don't. He's got to learn. He's got to learn how to be a head coach, man. He's no longer number 2. He didn't have Kelvin Sampson out there in front of him doing his thing at Houston. He's got to learn how to do his thing here. So I don't think that we swung and missed, but we'll see. It's a big picture deal. Like, I can't tell you that for another year or two. Now, in year 2 or 3, if we're still, 3 and whatever, then we're going to start questioning stuff. Man, if we had Hosanna, I think it's a totally different season. I'm not saying that we're blowing everybody out, but I think we have at least 3 or 4 more wins if we have Hosanna still here. I think we just did. We have no bigs. I don't know how we didn't recruit a big.
When it comes to Q, I don't think we missed. I think it's growing pains in a sense that you were just an assistant coach at one of the biggest basketball schools in the country, right? So it's very easy to coach a system when you have kids that have funneled their way to that school for so long.
And
right?
NBA talent, by the way.
Bingo. And you're talking about Houston, who is so well known for their aggressive defense, and you're trying to implement that here at UL, but we don't have the bodies necessarily to run that system out the gate. That's something that you got to build over time, and you got to get kids to buy into that kind of system and get them in here. So, yeah, in year 1, Jerry, you said it earlier, I'm totally giving Q a pass because, 1, he has to learn how to be a coach. He has to learn how to run a system. He has to learn what works and doesn't work because you're not at Houston anymore. You're here with the Cajuns, and it's truly a different ball game. And then secondly, you got to allow him time to get people in the door, right? I know we had a whole slew of transfers that came in. Most, if not all of the starting 5 this year transferred in the offseason. And, that's going to take time to piece together a squad that's going to win consistently on the court. And on top of that, like I mentioned, minutes ago, you have a lot of injuries in key positions, especially with Jamarian Keller. And then you lost Hosanna. So last year, which we were hoping to get him back, but he ended up transferring. Just got to give him some time. Got to go through the growing pains. But I do not think we missed on the coach. He just needs to learn what works here and what works for him.
But man, we've played some ugly games, guys. Like, it's been ugly. And I agree. If there are no bigs, why not? I mean, did guys, flip? Did they say they're coming? Did they commit to coming here in a last minute oh shit moment? Did we not have enough time? I don't know the answer to that, Jerry.
I think one thing I've learned is that it doesn't, like, at this point, you know, we talk about NIL and how much you pay players. At this point, it's almost so part of the game now that, you know, this year, one thing it's shown me is we did pay a lot for this team, but it's not coming to fruition. And what it tells me is no matter what the money was, the chemistry's not there. But
is it a lot? How much is Houston paying? How much is Texas Tech paying? You know, how much is even Coastal Carolina paying? I was told that if you want to be a Final Four team, you have to drop close to 10 million on a basketball roster, and we're about a tenth of that. Now, for us, that's a lot. Like, for us, that's a lot of money. But I think for us, it's the chemistry, it's the injuries mixed in there. And again, I will say, since the first 2 weeks of basketball season, or since it started, we have improved in certain ways, and we are starting to sink shots. Our shot selection is better, but we still have hiccups along the way. I want to see this team continue to get better as the season goes on, and by the end of the year, have something to build on for next season. It kind of reminds, kind of like the New Orleans Saints, right? Beginning of the season, it was awful, right? 1-7, could barely get past the 50-yard line, couldn't score. Now, granted, you put Tyler Shuck in, and that changed things. But now, since the last 5 weeks of the Saints season, everybody's excited about next year. I kind of want to see that same trajectory with this basketball team. Now, granted, again, to Josh's point, we paid a lot of money for this roster, but at the same time, I think the injuries don't help, and I just think that, I'm gonna just say it, they might have missed on a few guys. Let's just call it what it is. They might have missed. You could pay money for a roster and miss, and I think maybe we missed. I mean, this offseason coming up is going to be really interesting on how this coaching staff looks back on this first year and learns from it to say, what do we do next season compared to what we did now? So that's going to be interesting. I think that transition year from year 1 to year 2 is going to tell us a lot. And so to your guys' point, I just want to see this team finish with improvement and then build on it next season. Now, next season, Nick, like you said, if we're sitting here at 3-13, then maybe we could have that conversation that Josh asked and say, look, was this the right hire? And by then, I think we'll have our answer, but I'm willing to give it one more year. All right, boys. Well, that's it for basketball talk, because I'm ready to talk baseball. And I'm sorry if I'm not. I don't know. It's just typically this time of the year, we're all like pumped up. We're ready to talk baseball. We're getting into it. We're talking about players. We're giving previews. And right now, we're all just kind of like, because we don't know what to expect. Like, we're not coming off of a regional year like we were the past 3 years or 3 years before. So now going in, you're like, okay, what do we expect? We lost a ton of guys. We picked up a ton of guys in the portal. We have some high school guys coming in. So what do we expect? Will we be better on the mound? We've got a new pitching coach now that Gunner's gone. And let's be honest. Look, I love Gunner. I'm not saying he was a bad coach. I don't know if Deggs micromanaged him, but the results with him as pitching coach weren't great for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's Gunner's fault. I'm just saying our results on the mound were not great. And I don't know. I mean, but you had guys like Martinez who, crapped the bed for us, went on to other places and pitched really, really well. So it's all stuff to think about and all stuff that's in my head. But Kendall Rogers came up with a fall preview a few weeks ago, and it was really, really insightful. He actually talked to Deggs and got some info on the team. He looked at some of their fall ball matchups, and some of the guys on the mound, which I think, look, if we're going to do anything this year, we got to get better pitching wise. I know, Jerry, you shared with us privately that maybe that's going to be our weak point this year, but we had a 5 point whatever ERA last year. I'm hoping we get a little better than that. But as Kendall broke the news a few weeks ago, Simo may be done for the season, or at least for a major part of the season at the least, with back issues. We'll see how that plays out. But if you're looking for a weekend rotation, I don't know who 1, 2, and 3 are, but J.R. Tillett is going to be in the mix, as well as Andrew Herman. Tyler Pappenbrock is a NAIA transfer, a lefty. And then junior college transfer Cody Brash will also be in the mix, whether he's going to be a starter or reliever. I think those 4 guys are all guys that you will see, according to Kendall, on the weekend. They've got another junior college transfer, Ty Roman. 2 sophomores are going to be back this year, Will Taylor and Parker Smith. We've got to see, better command out of those guys. I'm going to go back to J.R. Tillett. And, as I mentioned, we have a new pitching coach that came to us from Marshall, Taylor Sandifer. And apparently he's helping out, especially with Tillett. He's showing a little bit better stuff with some tweaks in his delivery. So that's good to see. We talk about getting better on the mound. We talk about guys regressing, but hearing guys like Tillett maybe taking a little bit of a step forward, working on his mechanics and getting better on the mound, that's really, really going to be huge for us this year. Sandifer can make a difference for us as pitching coach. Right-handed junior college transfer Garrett Carter. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. He was up to 96 and 97 miles per hour with his fastball in the fall. He will come out of the bullpen most likely. Maybe an issue with him, I've heard. Could be a little bit of a command issue. But again, something for Sandifer to work with him on. So we've got guys that are capable on the mound. As far as fielding and guys who we can expect to get some production for offensively, you've got 4 key guys back this year. Of course, you've got Lee Amadei, Owen Galt, Jose Torres, and Drew Markle. I think those will all be big contributors. However, I will tell you, Jose Torres he's penciled in as the starter on day one, but I got to tell you, from everything I've heard, very impressive falls from Colt Brown and Steven Spalita. Again, guys who come in as transfers this year. Rigo Hernandez is a second baseman, and Blaze Rodriguez is going to be a shortstop, projected to be starting for us this year in the infield. And apparently, from everything I'm hearing, it's going to solidify the middle infield. We always seem to be pretty good in middle infield, but especially with Hernandez and Rodriguez, we should be good there as well. Donovan LaSalle has been playing well in the fall. He's going to be in the outfield as well. And then guys like Noah Lewis, Griffin Hebert, Mark Collins, Jace LaCava, all names that we'll be hearing a lot of. What you are hearing a lot of this year are guys who are coming from the junior college and transferring over. We're signing some high school kids, but it's mostly transfers and a lot of junior college guys. And one of the things Kendall asked him was, after a disappointing year, a lot of guys, a lot of turnover in your roster, how do you recover from that? And I thought it was interesting what Deg said. And I want to get you guys' comments on this. Plus, maybe what you're looking forward to this year in baseball. But one of the things he said was, maybe we didn't recruit the right guys. In the world of the transfer portal, we went heavy on the high school route. But the way I run my system, you need more mature guys who buy into the system. And he found it hard to get those guys in the high school ranks, so he's going heavy JUCO, experienced players, a little bit more mature. That being said, we've seen 2 players that we signed in the fall already no longer on the roster. So in one hand, you're saying we need more mature players, and we need to sign some high school kids, but we need more mature players. On the other hand, you got guys that aren't with the team after the fall that had questionable character to begin with. So which is it? I get you want a nice redemption story, but at the same time, you just shit the bed last season. We don't have time for redemption stories. We got to get the best players out there who fit your system, who do this Wolfpack crap, which, by the way, I'm starting to hate, but do the Wolfpack crap. So which is it? Are we going for guys who are more mature and fit your system, or are we taking chances on guys and then cutting them after the fall? I'll start with you, Cole. I think we have a lot of talent on paper coming in this year. The question is, and I don't think it was a talent issue last year. I think guys just did not buy into this crap. His rah-rah, his Wolfpack mentality, all that stuff. Was it an issue with younger guys not buying into that? Or, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on the strategy going forward with baseball?
Yeah, so Dags runs a very specific system, a very specific way. And if you are not on board with that system and his style of coaching, you're going to tend to hate it. Like, really hate it. You're going to push against it. And I think we've seen that last year specifically, even years before though. I know the year before last year was a really good year with Debo and, John Taylor, and we made that regional run, and we had a lot of dogs, especially in the bullpen and on the mound. So that's a little bit of exception, but Deggs has been around enough to know. And I'll even take you back to the 2014 team. I know he was just the hitting coach. He wasn't the head coach. But you had guys like, Strentz and Jace Conrad and, guys that were dogs. And I'm talking about, talent-wise and mentally. Like, they just wanted to get on the field and beat you down. Like, almost literally beat you down. And that's the kind of guys that thrive in Deggs' system. So if you're not that kind of player, if you don't have that kind of mentality, if you're not willing to work like that, the system that you're in will not work for you. So I could see what Deggs is saying. Like he said it so many times over the years. Excuse me. We don't have the right guys in here. We don't have the right guys in here. Well, at some point, that can't be the excuse anymore, because you've been here long enough now where who you're recruiting and the talent that's in the building, you've gone through a full cycle of you should have caught these guys ahead of time to weed them out of your system before the opening day roster or what have you. But going back to your point, Nick, there was a couple of kids on the roster, some decent name guys that we brought in that transferred here, and now they're no longer on the roster. I'm not in the building. I don't know the behind the scenes about that, whether it was a culture issue, whether they really just didn't fit here and got out of here. But I'm glad that happened now before everything gets solidified, and then they're locked in when they really don't want to be here. Because, and I'm not going to name names, we've seen that happen with kids in the past where they make the roster and it's very clear that they really don't want to be here. They just got stuck here. But anyway, as far as the season goes, I'm going to be very honest with you. Cajuns baseball is my bread and butter. It's my favorite thing in life. It's my number one favorite sport above NFL football, high school football, all of it. And this is the most numb I've been going into a season ever. And the reason I say that, and it's no disrespect to Matt Deggs, because I think he's a phenomenal coach. He's done some great things in his career. I'm getting very apathetic to the preseason talk, right? You have rah-rah read us to death over the years. Like last year, for example, which we were not a good team last year. Before the season started, it was Omaha or regional or bust, excuse me. This was a regional team, regional or bust. We barely won 27 games, and our season ended by getting the doors blown off of us by Marshall, who is not a baseball school. So that's why I'm so apathetic to anything I hear in the preseason, because it's all, you get this massive buildup for a massive letdown when the season starts. So I'm going into it with no expectations. There's been so much roster turnover. Like you said, you got the Owen Galts and the Drew Markles and the Jose Torreses. You got those guys back who are mainstays.
Maddox Mandino, he's going to have a year. I have a feeling Mandino is going to be the man this year.
And I hope he does. But what I'm saying is you got a couple guys that have been mainstays in the roster, but for the most part, 2/3 of the rosters are new guys. So you don't know what to expect. And I'm actually okay with that, because if my expectation going in is low and you can exceed me, I'm okay with that, man, because I hate going into a season with high-flying expectations to get absolutely crushed before we even get to conference, which is basically what happened last year. The good news, though, they brought $2 Natty Lights back this season, so, the pain is going to be a lot more tolerable with 2 Natty Lights double-fisted in Section A. So, but no, to
How
answer
about
your
a whole
question,
damn costume for Doug to wear? Still hadn't worn the damn thing.
well, if you can get it to me, I'll wear it. How about that?
Yeah. Well, there
But
you
yeah,
go.
man.
Maybe so. Lane, if you could, I don't have the names on me. Do you have the names of the guys who are no longer rostered? If not, I'll give you a chance to pull it up. But I don't have it in front of me, and I know you. Just when you have a chance, let me know, and we'll talk about them. But I did want to bring up those names today.
Can I say one more?
Mr.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, and I'm sorry. The one thing I wanted to say, and I kind of see Josh's comment down here. I know that Deggs is pulling a lot from the JUCO ranks and, the lower levels to get more mature guys in here to kind of fit his system. The one thing that I had an issue with, because baseball and football are different, I'm happy that football's pulling from lower ranks that are talented players. Baseball, I kind of view baseball for the Cajuns a little bit different. We have a diamond in the rough here. The Teak is one of the most beautiful places in the G5, G6 schools to come and play here. We have some really good baseball facilities. So, I was more so hoping that we can get, players at a D1 level to make a lateral move to UL. Like I would have liked to see maybe some guys in Sunbelt schools or maybe Conference USA schools that didn't get a real chance maybe come in and transfer here instead of going the JUCO route. But that's just really all I had to say about that. I was more so hoping that we can get some D1 guys, more D1 guys in the building. But I just got to trust what Deggs is doing and hope that he's making the right decisions with pulling these JUCO guys and NAIA guys up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm okay with the JUCO stuff in football, but baseball is kind of a different matter. I mean, pretty soon, if nobody's adopting your system, maybe it's not them, maybe it's your system. Lane, talk to us. Who's out this year?
Kyron LeBlanc, who is AKA Mr. Triple Digits. We heard all fall that he could hit 100 plus. He's no longer on the team, and Amar Donato as well.
I guess
those were the two of the main transfers that we ended up with that didn't stay on the team.
By the way, I'm gonna give a shout out to Carrier because James is he's like at Michael's tonight, man. He's just making it rain for us. Thanks for the support, man. That it'll all go to a good cause, I promise you there. But time to move on. Look, this is a year. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is a contract year for Deggs anyway. He has not been extended. So if he doesn't get it right this year, this is it for him. So we'll see. I mean, I was willing last year to give him one more year. You can't just say one bad year out of, well, we had a couple bad years, but you go to 3 straight regionals, you take a step back. Hell, Robe took step backs like this. I mean, we went to freaking Omaha, and then the next year we didn't even qualify for the conference tournament. You want to talk about taking a step back? So I'm willing to give him a chance, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Somebody said, "Who's going to be here to fire him?" I don't know at this point. We'll see. That's a good question.
Well, that's a hell of a
KG.
point. That's a hell of a point because, and I don't want to talk it into existence, but if it happens, it is what it is. There's not many of us expecting Maggart to be here at the end of the athletic season either, especially with everything going on. So let's just, and I'm talking openly. Let's say there is a new athletic director that comes in, and we don't have a great year in baseball, and it is a contract year for Matt Deggs. There is a chance maybe a new athletic director is going to want to make a major hire as his first, deal and bring in his own guy. So, and I'm just talking openly, but there's going to be a lot of moving pieces after this baseball season. And I think if a new athletic director is in the building, I would not be surprised to see a new baseball head coach to follow that.
Can I say something, Jerry? I know you're chomping at the bit to talk, but I gotta get this off my chest, man. Look, Dr. Maggard has done some nice things at UL. Dr. Maggard has made some good hires, some questionable hires, whatever. I think as a whole, when you look back at some of the good things he's done, building stadiums, he did a good job. What I don't like is that in the last 3 or 4 months, when fans are saying, we need this, we need to get, we need to start signing better players, we need to increase our NIL. Him responding to them publicly and saying, well, why don't you donate money is the wrong answer to those comments. And look, maybe I'm being a little sensitive, but when you're in the position you're in, you don't make those comments to the common fan because that's how you turn people off. Oh, well, screw you. It's like the comment that somebody in the administration made living here in Texas when I didn't have season tickets. And I said, we need better attendance. Well, do you have season tickets? No, I live 4.5 hours away, bro. But I bought season tickets and now you haven't heard it, kind of bullied me into doing it. But regardless, we shouldn't be talking down to fans like that, man. We need every fan we can get. And I get your point. Yeah, if you want more NIL, contribute. Not everybody has extra money to give to NIL. And by the way, we're tired. We're tired of giving money. Our rate of return sucks right now. Look at the worst year in Cajuns athletics, and you're chirping back at a fan saying, well, why don't you give money? Not the way to do business. And look, again, this is not a shot at him. I just don't like the way that he handles that particular firing back at fans recently. Jerry, talk about that or talk about baseball. What you got in your mind?
No, I'm with Cole. I'm not going to say I'm numb, but there's a lot of question marks. This is around the time of year I get really fired up with baseball season coming. And now I'm just after last year, both baseball and softball, I'm skeptical. I think that's the word to describe. I'm skeptical. Because last year's baseball season was just bad. We couldn't score runs. We gave up too many runs. We're getting run ruled by bad teams at home, giving up double-digit scores to teams like Texas Southern, and that kind of takes the wind out of your sails, and it doesn't really make you look forward to going to the games as much as. And I love going to the Teague. I mean, it's almost. It's almost like a time of, it's almost like a place to go and just reflect. It's such a great place to be and get.
It's a home away. It's a home away from home. It literally is.
Jerry's praying at the games.
Hey, it's almost. I mean, I don't want to be sacrilegious when I say that, but it's a place of serenity a little bit, except when it gets really loud, right? But the problem I have now is. It's not a problem, but it is a concern. You're starting to see the evolution of baseball teams, to your point, Cole. They're going in the portal, like what you've seen at Arkansas State, their coach, right? The one from Nichols, Mike, what's his name? Mike Silva, what was his name, I believe?
Yeah, Mike Silva, yeah.
He took a lot of Southland players. He took a lot of mid-major players and has made Arkansas State a competitor in one season, to the point where they beat us in a series and run ruled us at our house last year, something Arkansas State never does. And you're starting to see more teams do that, and that's how they build their programs. And while we're going after JUCOs, and I know the old school way of doing it, because Deggs is an old school coach. The old school way of doing it was going after JUCOs. The question is does that system work in today's environment of college baseball? That's the big $1 million question that I'm hoping to see. And I hope it's true. I hope he's able to get the attitude and the mindset that he wants. But this is this is a very different generation of younger kids and younger athletes than it was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. The attitudes when Robe talked about daddy ball and all that stuff, that culture is what it is today.
Every kid gets a ring. You play in a tournament, you come in fourth place and you get a ring.
And so that, going after the JUCO kids and the kids who were hungry 30 years ago, it's a lot different today. So I'm hoping that system still works. We're going to see. I mean, looking at some of these JUCO guys, I mean, they played well at the JUCO level from what I saw, but the attitude thing and the mindset, the mentality that he's trying to bring, I hope it works, because when it does work, it's fun to watch. It is. But this is a different generation of kids, man. That's the thing that concerns me a little bit. And you're seeing college baseball teams rebuild their teams in a much different way than what we're trying to do. We're sticking it old school, and that's fine. That's going to be the big question, because last year, I'm going to just tell y'all, I thought the team pretty much gave up. I know that's taboo. You can't say that. But in some of those games, man, even when the games were close, when was the last time any of you have watched Cajuns baseball and when we went down 2 runs, you thought we have no chance?
Oh, yeah.
That was never the case. That was never the case. It's never, or a few years, right, Nick?
Yeah, there were a couple years in the Robe years.
But far few in between, right? Far few in between. Last year, we go down 2 runs in the 6th inning, and I'm like, we already lost the game.
Yeah, we're done.
That's not Cajuns baseball that we know and love. So, that mindset, that attitude of just the players just kind of walking around lollygagging after getting spanked, you can't have that this year. And maybe
there are Jace Conrads, by the way. They're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Those guys play like a bunch of Jace Conrads, and we sit there and we take it.
And let me tell y'all about Southern Miss. Look, they spend a lot on NIL, but you know what else they have? They don't just have a talented team. They got players with attitude. They have them. And that's something I think we lacked last year. Now, the year before last, you had your John Taylors, your Duncan Pastores, and you got your Kyle DeBarges. And then you had some guys on the mound like, Langevin, those. They had attitude, and you saw the result of that. We need some players with freaking attitude, man. Give me some players with attitude.
Attitude, but that, isn't a bad influence on the rest of the locker room and gets cut, right?
Or throw down that's
throw down with other team, not with their own guys.
Or throw down. But no, man, it's going to be interesting to see how that system works, bringing in those JUCO guys. It has worked for us many times in the past. It's going to be interesting to see how it works in this culture or environment of college baseball that it is today compared to what it was in 2005.
Lane, before you go, because I think you wanted to say something. You mentioned Mike Silva, man. I swear to God, I wish I had not deleted that interview Lane and I had with him. I'm not saying the guy's an ass. I think he's a cool guy, but he's just very, very dry. And like we'd ask him, so he's like, yeah, sorry, I'm calling you from the road. We're doing a recruiting visit. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, coach. So where are you passing through right now? Are you anywhere with good food that you're gonna stop and eat? Oh, we're in the middle of nowhere. Okay, coach. Well, cool. He would not show his hand for anything. And I think we asked him something about his previous head coach, and he was like, yeah, I don't know the guy. Pause. And we're like, oh, okay, moving on. I wish I hadn't deleted it because I would have used some of that for our bloopers lane. That would have been really funny. But man, we usually knock it out of the ballpark with coaches, but this guy was actually, we interviewed her for Arkansas State, Kara Ritchie. I actually texted her after, and I'm like, is he really dry or weird? She's like, no. Like it took like 5 or 6 times for us to have a conversation for him to not come off that way. Lane, did you have something to add to that?
No, going back to the transfer talk as far as baseball goes. If we're losing guys that we brought in through the transfer portal last fall, summer, and they're already off the team, is there a bigger issue? Is it just the players not working out? Is it something more than that? I want to get your guys' thought on that.
Well, I think, KG, I see you revving up, but I want to say something you said was like, in 2014, Coach Deggs, this ain't the same 2014 Coach Deggs at all whatsoever. This is a different Coach Deggs, not the same guy. So I think the Coach Deggs you have now, how do I say this without sounding like a complete jerk? He's not everybody's cup of tea. And especially in the locker room, definitely not everybody's cup of tea. And, I think I'm not going to say talent acquisition has been questionable because we've signed some really, really talented guys. My concern is what happens in the locker room because those guys look at the roster. You have so many guys. Are you telling me 19 guys leaving last year was their fault and not something else? Like, that's hard for me to believe. When you have a total roster turnover and you say, well, it's them and not me, I'm starting to question things. Go ahead, KG.
No, well, my issue with that is, and like I said, we've known Deggs for a while now, this wolf pack, this hoorah mentality, us against the world. Well, what happens if one of your players doesn't buy into that? And so that's what I'm getting at. Like, so if you bring in a guy and he doesn't match that mentality, is he exiled? Like, is he just going to be on the roster and he has to just ride out the year because he doesn't buy in? Because listen, and far be it for me to, criticize any coach because I've never done it at that level. I never got paid that money. But a good coach to me, in my eyes, and I've watched enough sports to know this, is a coach that can relate to all players. If you got a player that's hard-nosed and wants to get after it, you know how to coach that guy. You could be a little hard on him. You know how to get him to respond. If you got a player that's maybe a little bit softer, has talent, but maybe is a little bit not there between the ears and needs a little bit of tenderness and softness and kind of walk him through what you need him to do, a good coach can also relate to that player. What I'm getting at is that if you got players year after year after year that are not buying in and you're saying, well, we just don't have these guys in the locker room. We just don't have these guys in the locker room. Well, how long do we have to wait till you finally hit on an offseason that brings those guys into the locker room? Because what is it now, year 6 or 7? How long has it been? It's been enough turnover that those guys should already be in the locker room. Like, this should not be a talking point every season. We just, we got to get the right guys in here. Hell, the right guys should be in there already. And that's what I'm getting at. A good coach can relate to all guys, not just the ones that buy into a system because they're hard-nosed and eat bricks for breakfast. I mean, that's not a system that can work. You're not going to go out there and find 25 kids, 10 of them on the mound and 15 of them that play a fielding position. You're not going to find 15 kids that fucking run through drywall just for the hell of it. Some kids need to be, taught the game and developed. That's where developing talent comes into play. And that is my one knock about giving up on the high school level, is because those comments about, well, I'm going after JUCOs because they fit my system better. Well, that just tells me that you're not really willing to sit down with a high school kid and take the time and develop him where he needs to be in your system. So if all we're doing every year from here on out is selling out for JUCO kids that you believe can come in and they have enough veteran leadership and enough heart to come in and fit your system, that's a gamble every year to me. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing gamble. Because what a good coach would do is bring in high school, and we see it at all levels. We see it in our own conference. They'll bring in these high school kids with talent. They'll develop them. And guess what? And they might not see the field as freshmen, but by sophomores and maybe even junior years, they are bought into the system. They're developed into the system, and they're polished. That's a polished product, ready to take the mound or take the field and get after it. You're gambling with JUCO and NAIA kids, where you're depending on developing them in one off season, and that's if you hit. What happens if they get here and they don't fit your system? Then you're cutting them, guys like Kyron and Donato. So that's all I got to say about that. I'm getting a little fired up because I'm tired of this wolf pack hoorah. Like, how about we just get after it, keep our mouth shut, and surprise the fans with a quality product on the field, and not lay a freaking goose egg when you have a stadium that is top-notch in the Sun Belt, really top-notch in all of the G6 schools in the country. This should be a place that baseball players, college baseball players, want to come and get after it. And it feels like lately we're being passed over for schools with worse facilities and worse situations, and it's making me really frustrated. That's why I'm not trying to get my hopes up this season.
I mean, Southern Miss has a freaking double wide trailer on top of each other as their press box. And they haven't even finished half of the stadium or whatever, and they've been sitting out there. But better,
and it's not even lined up properly.
Right, but right now they have a better atmosphere than we do, and we've got this beautiful palace that we just we show up and we can't play fundamental baseball. Our fielding percentage sucks, our pitching sucks. We can't hit the ball, we can't run the bases. You can't bullshit our baseball fans, man. You can't bullshit us. We've been here long enough. We know what good baseball is. What we saw last year was not good baseball. And it's not acceptable for Raging Cajuns fans and the program, in my opinion. Like, we spent too much time. Robe spent too much of his blood, sweat, and tears. This job killed him. That job killed Robe to make it to what it is today. We can never stop pushing to make things better. Jerry, last thoughts on this.
Well, let's go even further. They're trying to fundraise for a new clubhouse. I mean, and the price
for the
went
last
up.
7 years.
And so now, most of the time the reason why Robe got his stadium was because of the success on the field, was because of the environment inside the Teague that created this interest of people wanting to support Raging Cajun baseball, which gave people wanting to give money to this new stadium and invest in this new stadium. People aren't going to want to pay money to go watch 27 and 32 baseball teams or whatever the record was last year, 27 and 30 something, and get run ruled by Arkansas State at home. That's what it comes down to. This culture of Raging Cajun baseball. We love to talk about how we're all about the grinders and we're all about the guys who play hard, but you got to show it. You got to show it with good fundamental baseball. You can't make errors like last year. You can't have an ERA of over 5. You can't have guys on second and third in scoring position and can't score runs. You can't have a guy on third base with no outs or 1 out and can't score runs. You can't have guys, you can't rotate the lineup with a bunch of newbies and decide you're going to make a statement and you're going to put a bunch of freshmen in the third or fourth game of the year and get run ruled.
Right there is what you just said. No, the lineup changes in conference play drives me nuts. That is the one thing I'll say. We got to cut that bullshit out. If you don't have a consistent starting lineup by the time conference starts, we have a freaking problem. And that's one thing about Matt Deggs that I'll say openly on this show. And I try to not to be too critical about him because I do respect Deggs as a coach. You gotta stop tinkering with the lineup in the middle of the damn baseball season. College kids, they need to know where they're playing and where they're at in the lineup. It's a mental thing. If you're moving me around from 1 to 9 any day of the freaking week, how am I supposed to get comfortable in a lineup? Because the responsibilities of a leadoff or a 2-hole are a lot different than the responsibilities.
Nobody else does it, KG. Nobody else. What makes you think that what you're doing works? Because obviously it's not. That's what drives me nuts. Nobody else does what he does.
The lineup tinkering has to stop. I will say that. Sorry about that, Jerry.
No, you're good.
And not even the lineup tinkering, putting players in positions that they don't normally play. Like, why?
Why were we putting Lee Amade at
crazy.
second base? You saw what happened when they put him in at second. I mean, it's not his fault. They put him in a terrible position. Why are you putting Lee Amade at second base?
But again, if you're literally changing the entire lineup and replacing them with a bunch of freshmen to make a point, that is a huge red flag. And again, from everything we've talked about in this entire conversation to building this stadium, you're trying to raise millions of dollars to build a new clubhouse. You're asking the fan base to invest in this program. If the return on investment is a 27-win team, a lot, like you said, a team that loses games because there's so much inconsistencies every day, people aren't going to want to watch that. People aren't going to spend their time at the Teague. You're going to be sitting in an empty Teague. The stadium was empty a few times later in the year last season. We didn't build this $20 million stadium for it to be empty because of bad baseball and a bad product. And so we have a culture of expectation. We have a culture of success. We have a culture of knowing what we know about Raging Cajun baseball and the knowledge that we have. And look, this year is a crucial year, guys. And like I said, I know there's a lot of apathy going into the season after what happened last year, but it does not take away that there's going to be a lot of people watching, not necessarily because they're excited, but more or less, did we respond from last season? How do we respond? And look, the first weekend, we got Missouri State coming at home. We're not going to get no northern school, some easy northern school to get 3 easy wins. We're going to be challenged early on.
And by the way, Maryland comes the next weekend.
We got to go to Dallas Baptist, Maryland. I mean, we got some tough. I mean, the non-conference schedule is a really good non-conference schedule, but it's a challenging one. And I'm going to be really curious to see how these new JUCO guys and these transfers and some of these returning guys that were on that team last year, I'm going to be very curious and watch them closely on how they respond to start the year off.
Well, we have some fun things planned for baseball this year. As a team, we hope to be out there. I know, KG, you're going to be out there every weekend tailgating. We'll probably join you a few times, maybe do a couple of quick maybe a couple live streams before games. Just, why the hell not? Let's do it. Maybe on a Friday afternoon, I make the trip out there. We do some live streams and just get the weekend started right. But we have some other cool stuff planned, including maybe some giveaways we'll give away during the season. I don't know if you guys know about that, but that'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And some good food. I know, KG, your daddy's cooking one weekend, and hell, I can cook too. I got a little crawfish boiler at my parents' house. We can get a couple sacks, get that going one day. It'll well,
look, I'm gonna just promote it now. So most of y'all watching know that Section A, we're out there every Saturday home, for a home series. We meet as a committee because Section A's pretty much got a committee now of about 10 guys that run the show. And we meet as a crew, and we basically sit down and discuss the menu for the season of every home game throughout the year. So, and that's open to the public. The reason we do it is because we want fans to come and enjoy basically a football style tailgate. And we have prided ourselves on doing that, Lane, the last decade, honestly. And I'll be honest with you, what we also do, and we're growing it as the years go on, opposing fans, it's becoming known now, especially around the Sun Belt, like we're the place to come and tailgate for the opposing fans. Like we encourage opposing fans to come and tailgate with us, hang out, eat our food, and we don't charge anything. This is all basically lagniappe. We're doing it. We're just good hosts. We like having a good time, drinking beer. So what I'm saying is to anybody watching, if you want to come enjoy a Saturday home game, any Saturday home game baseball series, come out. Look for the 4 big tents and the big flags waving. We got more flags than we know what to do with out there, but we'll be out there every Saturday home game, home series for the Cajuns. Come see Section A. We'd love to have you. Come introduce yourself.
Hey, by the way, Destiny, I'll be out there for the Southern Miss game series. Hey, come introduce yourself. I need to have some good music while I was saying that, by the way. Chris DeMatra asking, Boo-Ray at the Teague, man, I need to get that going, dude.
Why not? Hell yeah.
I know. I need to get just a Boo-Ray game going. We're going to do that. We're going to play in that. Seriously, hit me up.
See, at Section A, it's Cadillac, but the rule is $1 a hand. It's not quarter. We don't play for quarters. We play with dollars. You better bring them dollar bills, ball. If we go throw them cards, you go throw them dollars.
Y'all the golden nugget, and I'm going to Cushada, baby. I ain't messing with that. All right, let's talk. Let's turn our attention now to the college football playoff. I know I said we were done with football, but not quite yet, boys, because we do have more college football on the horizon. And in fact, we might do a live stream of the national championship game, and we may invite select members of the Rage and Review family to come in and watch it with us live, as we did for the bowl game, which was a huge success, guys. I enjoyed that so much. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So we might have to do that. We might have to have a live stream for some of you crazy fools who watch us. Anyway, so we do have the semifinals that are on the way later this week. Oregon versus Indiana. Indiana stomped, as it is on this rundown, stomps Bama, which was amazing. Love seeing that. I hated it for the fact that LSU fans were happy. TSAP fans were happy. I was not happy about that. Matt Moscona acting like a complete asshole, smoking his cigar. Dude, y'all didn't even sniff the playoff. So for you to be shitting on Bama right now, it's kind of crazy. Well, I hate when fans do that, man.
Well, the thing is, Caden DeBoer's, what is he, 2-0 against LSU? They beat him this year.
Dude, I hate when fans do that, when they, what? Okay, I get they're your rival, but you are sitting at home watching them play and you're celebrating shut up, dude. Anyway, that guy's been exposed this week.
This is the same thing. It's kind of a lateral deal. Did y'all see what Louisiana Tech posted either yesterday or the day before?
The only Louisiana team to win a bowl game.
Bingo! You got Tulane, who was in the goddamn CFP, and you got Louisiana Tech saying we're the only one that won a bowl game. Dude, that's us put eight straight bowls.
They didn't go to straight bowls, though. They didn't go to 8 straight bowls.
Hey, but did you make 8 straight? No, you didn't.
It's it's just so tone deaf. You got a school that literally went to the playoff. Come on, man.
But they won a bowl game.
Don't disrespect the flagship of North Louisiana, okay? Don't disrespect. They had a billboard, the flagship of North Louisiana.
Dude.
I'm like, is
the
that something
jewel of the Louisiana system?
Hey,
is that something you brag about? The flagship of North Louisiana? What's in North Louisiana?
You have Texas.
Sorry, Lane. I know you're from there, but
No.
Oh, he's from Monroe. It's even worse.
That's why he moved down. Dumbass.
That is true. Yeah.
But you even got Texas State fans saying that they're the Harvard of the South. Bruh, that's Nichols. All right, so stop.
Harvard
talking.
on the Bayou. Harvard on the Bayou.
The Harvard of the South. Go. Yeah, you know where you can go. Anyway,
I wanted to make sure I dropped that in because I knew y'all got a kick out of that.
Nick is so ready for Texas State to go to the Pac-12.
God,
you were the day they leave on July 1st. You're going to be in front of their building, popping champagne, shooting fireworks. I'm
gonna dress up as the Bubba's Cup because they're so freaking excited about a cup nobody cares about, but they do, and it's a big deal. I even triggered their whole beat writer to take a picture of his 3rd place award for a picture he took one year. He's like, I'm an award-winning sports writer. Bro, you came in 3rd place in some photo. Come on, dude.
I'm gonna get a sticker made that says, I'm gonna get a sticker on it that says, come and take it.
That's awesome. Okay, let's get back. Let's circle back to the CFP. So we got Oregon and Indiana. Oregon, they curb stomped Texas Tech. Texas Tech couldn't even score a single point against Oregon, which JMU scored many points against Oregon. And their starters were out by the second half. Either way, they scored on the opening drive against Oregon. So shut up. People are so ignorant. Anyway, as I was saying, Oregon versus Indiana, boys. Let's talk about it. KG, your thoughts on this upcoming semifinal game?
Yeah, I know it's a rematch. I know that Indiana got the best of them earlier in their year. I'm going to just say this. I think Kurt Cignetti, now that Kirby Smart is out of the playoff picture, I think Kirk Cignetti's the best coach left in it, if I'm being honest with you. I love the way that Indiana plays ball. I am fully in on the Hoosier wagon. I know they call them JMU 2.0, which is funny to me. But man, they're just so fundamentally sound at every position. I mean, great quarterback play, a Heisman winning quarterback, one of the best offensive lines. I mean, that's one of the best offensive lines that I've seen since, and I know it's been said so many times, since Saban's offensive lines at Alabama, where they used to just beat you down into the ground on every play. That is literally what we're watching Indiana do to teams on a weekly basis, to the point where Indiana's offensive lineman last week won the Rose Bowl player of the game. When's the last time you've seen an offensive lineman win that kind of award? So that's what you're talking about. And then defensively, they're so opportunistic. They have great talent, a lot, and they rely on a lot of unsung guys. There's no superstars. It's just a bunch of really sound players that play very well together. I'll be honest with you guys. I see Indiana winning this one again, possibly by 2 scores. What I mean, maybe a 10 point game. But I mean, Indiana is clicking right now, and to say that you blew out Alabama, which is, top 3 winningest teams of all time. Indiana is one of the bottom 3 losingest P4 teams of all time. We literally just saw David stomp out Goliath, and I'm just so impressed with what Kirk Cinetti has done in just 2 years at one of the bottom feeders in all of college football.
I agree with you. I'm with you. I think Indiana will pull it off. James, you'll be the first to know, buddy, if we play Boo-Ray. I got your number now, so I'll text you. Jerry, your thoughts on the upcoming semifinal between those two teams?
I think you really have finesse versus physical. And Oregon State's very finesse. They've got a lot of outside speed. They've got a lot of skilled positions that are very fast, very fluid, very agile. I think physical wins every time. I mean, if you saw them play against Alabama, to Cole's point, Cole nailed it. In the second half against Alabama, all they did was run the football. And when was the last time you've ever seen Alabama's front seven get plastered and dominated like that against the Indiana?
Jerry, they gave up. Alabama gave up in the second half.
2 or 3 of those final touchdowns were on runs right up the gut. There was no trickery. There was no gimmicky calls. There was no fake handoff, fake this, fake that. It was, I'm handing the ball off, I'm running down your throat, and I'm going to score. And what's funny is, of course, people who don't know, Kirk Cinetti was a disciple of Nick Saban. He coached under Saban for a couple years. He basically used Saban's strategy to beat Alabama. Like, line of scrimmage play, physical play in the front lines, and just ran it down their throat. I think that, to me, always overpowers a team that's more finesse like Oregon. Now, Oregon's physical too. They've got physicality. I just think, and to your point about the defense, Cole, they remind me a lot of, and look, these are kind of different levels here, but remember the Cajuns defense in 2021 under Patrick Toney, which, by the way, got the defensive coordinator job at Ole Miss. Congratulations to Patrick, Coach Toney, on that. But that 2021 UL defense, we had playmakers, but it felt like they were always in position to make open field tackles, play good defensive coverage. That's Indiana. They swarm to the football. They're always in position to make plays. I just think that they're so fundamentally sound, and they run just this sort of offensive pro style system with a good offensive line. I just think it's hard to beat that. You saw they did it against Ohio State. They did it against Alabama. I think they're going to do it again against Oregon. And honestly, they're my new favorite right now. I think Indiana's going to win it all if they do what they did last week.
I enjoy watching them play, man.
They're fun to watch. Yeah,
that wins this game is going to win the national championship. I didn't say it, but I could see the winner of this game. And last thing I'll say is Dante Moore for Oregon is going to be the X factor in the game, because it's going to require him to basically have an incredible game to overcome the talent that is on Indiana's side. Now, luckily for Oregon, Dante Moore, when he's on his game, he arguably is the most talented quarterback in college football. But unfortunately for him, he is playing for Mendoza, who just won the Heisman. So I think Moore would have to have a phenomenal game for Oregon to overcome Indiana.
Lane, what are your thoughts in this game? Who's going to win it?
I think it'll be a really good matchup. I know the matchup the first go around was pretty good as well, but I just think Indiana's too much, both offensively and defensively. And I think they take it by 10 points at least.
Damn. All right. We are all predicting a two-score win for Indiana. So, hey, I'm all about that. I like their team. I like Cignetti. He's doing it the right way. And I saw an interview where he was talking about, like, he doesn't keep his coaches out till all hours of the night. Like, they're there to get things done. When they get it done, they go home. There's no expectation that they have to be there till midnight, Lane.
And I don't think they're going to get any worse, because I saw today that Mark Cuban is basically funding the Indiana team.
An Indiana grad,
through the portal, and we'll see how that plays out.
Did y'all see who they got a quarterback coming in next year? Josh Hoover from TCU.
Yeah, I saw
who is a hell of a quarterback. If y'all remember him from a couple years ago, lit the Cajuns up. Josh Hoover can sling the ball around the yard, so Indiana is not going anywhere.
I agree. Richard Simmons' estate needs to give us some money. I mean, somebody. We got, somebody. I know God got R.I.P. Richard Simmons, but man, help us out from heaven, dog. Let's talk about the Ole Miss versus Miami game. Of course, we couldn't talk about Ole Miss without talking about all the shenanigans that are going on right now. I mean, Lane Kiffin takes the coaches, but then sends them back to coach, but then takes them back, and now they're tampering with them. Now, Washington's claiming that LSU's tampering with their players, and dude, it has been such a shit show. And now, Lacey's staying, a couple of the players that were for sure going to TSAB now we're staying at Ole Miss. It's been, it's been distracting, period. How they got the win last week was crazy with all this stuff going on. Now it's going to be even crazier. And you listen to the head coach, his name's escaping me. I'm so terrible with names. The new head coach for Ole Miss, talk.
Pete Golding.
Yeah, Golding, who should have been coaching for us. Anyway, you hear him talk, and he's like, look, yeah, I get it. And somebody asked a stupid question, what message do you have for Lane Kiffin? I don't have a message for that guy. My message is let the players play. Let's, keep working hard, keep grinding, and we'll do our thing. One thing concerns me about Ole Miss going in this game are the distractions. Do they even know who's coaching next week? How do you come up with a game plan when you don't even have the coaches that coached you last week? This has all been such a shit show. And proving how ridiculous college football has turned into. It's turned into nothing more than Real Housewives of Oxford and Baton Rouge. That's what this has turned into. It's a reality show. And that's really what networks want. They want reality shows. They want drama. So, Cole, your thoughts on the Ole Miss-Miami matchup? I'm going with Miami this week just because I think Ole Miss has too many distractions, and I don't even know who's coaching. How do you come up? How do you game plan with coaches that you don't even know coaching the game?
So let me just put it this way, Nick. You guys know I'm a Florida State fan. If Miami was playing Al Qaeda, I would be wearing a turban this week. So yeah, I'm definitely not picking. I'm definitely not picking Miami. But no, honestly, Ole Miss to me, they have great quarterback play. They are really good running the football, and they have been phenomenal on the defensive line of scrimmage. Those two defensive tackles are defensive linemen that they have that really just showed up and showed out against Georgia. Basically, were the unsung heroes of that game. And I know they got a little worn down in the fourth quarter, but they held it together enough to finish the deal. But man, Trinidad Chambliss, what a guy! Like Jerry, you talked about him earlier. Came from Ferris State. When he came to Ole Miss, he even said in an interview he was not expecting anything but to just be a backup at Ole Miss and kind of ride out the rest of his college career. Well, then with Austin Simmons getting hurt earlier this season, he gets thrown into the fire. Not only does he get thrown into the fire, he comes out a diamond. Like, he comes out as one of the best quarterbacks in the entire SEC. And when you got a guy like that and you could perform that way a week earlier against Georgia, who arguably is one of the best defenses in all of college football, led by Kirby Smart, who's honestly one of the best coaches, if not the best coach currently in college football. I mean, dude, the sky's the limit. But if Ole Miss is going to continue to run the ball at a high level, to play great on the defensive line, and then obviously Trinidad's going to do his own thing, at the quarterback position, I really believe truly that Ole Miss is going to win this game. And the reason I say that, I know Miami's got a really good defense, but Miami, the one thing that they haven't seen all year long is a quarterback that can move like Trinidad Chambliss. Most of what Miami has seen this year is a lot of pocket passers. Even Julian Sayin, Ohio State, not really known for using his legs. He got stuck in the pocket a lot of times, and Miami was able to collapse and sack the quarterback and create havoc. Ole Miss, they're going to move around. I mean, they're going to be chasing him all night long, and if you're chasing, come the fourth quarter, you're going to be tired. So I can really see Ole Miss winning this game. Now, it's going to be tight. I think it's only going to be like maybe a field goal, 7-point type game. But I think Ole Miss's offense and their quarterback play is better than what I'm seeing on Miami's offense and on their side of the ball. Miami, the last couple of weeks against Texas A&M, hell, even against Ohio State, 7 of those points were on a pick six. So really, if you think about it, only 17 points came from the offense. I just don't think Miami's offense is going to be able to keep up with Ole Miss's offense, and I could see Ole Miss winning this one somewhere in the ballpark of like 31-24, 27-20, somewhere in that ballpark.
Jerry, your thoughts?
Right now, I think Miami has momentum. At the same time, to Cole's point, I just don't think their offense is strong enough to go toe to toe with Ole Miss. I am looking forward to the matchup with Ole Miss's offense and, like you said, Trinidad Chambliss going against Miami's front seven, because Miami's got a good defensive line. They've got good linebackers. They've got a lot of good skill positions with a lot of speed. I just don't know if they get into a shootout if Miami's offense can keep up, because Ole Miss's defense is pretty legit. Ole Miss opened my eyes tremendously against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. They made some mistakes in the first half, then they come back and dominate in the second half, even to the point of some really bad officiating that almost went Georgia's way, and Ole Miss still overcame that and beat them. And I had Georgia as a dark horse going into the CFP, and so after seeing the way Ole Miss won that game last week, they really opened my eyes and made me think, okay, this team is a contender that can win it all. They are good enough to win it all. And so I just feel like Ole Miss, with the momentum they had coming off that Georgia game, I just think it's a little too much offensively for Miami. And I think Ole Miss wins a close one. I'm going to say by anywhere from a field goal to 5 points. But I think Ole Miss is going to find a way they're just going to outscore them. I think Miami just doesn't have the offense to keep up.
Lane, final thoughts on the CFP. Who you think is going to win out of Miami and Ole Miss?
So I think the upset of my Ole Miss over Georgia was bigger in my opinion than Miami beating Ohio State with all the Lane Kiffin drama that happened the week before and all that. I do feel like Ole Miss has the better offense, like Jerry and Cole said, and I think it'll be too much in the end. I think they win by 3 or more points.
All right, boys. Well, it will be exciting. Again, maybe we talk about doing the national championship game via live stream. I think we just say we're going to do it because it's going to be a lot of fun. How you get an invite? That's the question. That's the question. How do you get an invite? I guess we'll have to figure that one out, boys. We got time. We got time to figure it out. One more thing before we go to Grimmie's. I do have to share this because I kind of chuckled when I saw it. We talked about it. We alluded to it. We thought this might happen. Zeon Chris now going to Tulane after committing to Southern.
So 2 days ago, he's going to Southern. Now he's going, okay, maybe in 2 more days, he may be going to Memphis or somewhere. I don't know.
I want to say something. I don't want to. God's going to strike me down if I say it. Look, I'm going to just say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to get in trouble. He blocked me already. I don't want. I'm just saying, if you preach the word of God, like, your word is a thing. That's all I'm going to say. Like, that's disappointing to me. Like, you commit to that. I don't like that. I mean, I think that's an integrity thing, guys. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but like, he committed to Southern, told him I'm coming. Then he does this. It doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. I'm sorry.
Isn't he also the same player that said he was committed to us and then left?
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later is in the portal and goes to Houston.
Yeah. So it sounds about right.
I don't know, man. I'm just disappointed in that whole situation.
Yeah, we had conversations on Cajun Threads about Zeon. And by the way, if you're not on Cajun Threads yet, obviously go sign up. We have really good Cajun conversations in there. But let Zeon be the lesson to anybody, to any football player watching right now, or really any athlete in general. Don't make a lateral move unless you have assurances. I mean, we were talking about a kid who was going to be a surefire QB1 for the Cajuns if he would have decided to stay, and who knows what his stock would be if he decided to stay and be the quarterback for the Cajuns. Instead, he decided to go back up at Houston. I know he got paid to do that, but then when you did that, you got lost in the depth chart and you never got to showcase your talent again. And now you're just looking for a place to kind of call home once again and get a chance to get back on the field. Well, you wouldn't have had to do that if you didn't leave the Cajuns in the first place, where, like I said, you were a surefire lock for QB1. So he's a cautionary tale of why the portal can be dangerous if you don't play it the right way. And yeah, Nick, I mean, I go to church every week. You joked about it very early in the show. KCKG, I'm as religious as anybody in here. All glory to God, literally. But you can't continue to preach that if if you're giving your word to a man or a school or a program, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking in real life terms. You don't give your word to somebody and then turn around and do something different. That's not a man of honor or faith. That's kind of bad faith, if anything. But bottom line, Zion's going to Tulane. That is a great program on the up and up. I'm not going to wish any ill will on him. I hope he gets a chance, and I hope he does well with this chance. But yeah, let's cut out all the God BS, and that God has nothing to do with college football. He's got much bigger things to worry about. But yeah, if you're going to say something, be a man of your word and stick with it.
Will Hall is coaching Tulane now. That's all. I'm just going to leave it at that. By the way, listen to Dave. If you haven't checked him out, Locked on Sunbelt, Dave is great. He puts out content throughout the week. If you haven't subscribed to him, do it. He actually talked about Zion, and his rumors from his camp were Zion was promised $1 million to go to Houston, and he got about 3 or 4% of that. So you do the math. What he was promised and what he got. And reliable sources. It could be off by a little bit, but we've heard consistently that what was promised was not what was received. So wish him the best either way. But again, just bad taste in my mouth. Really, really liked the kid. Really wanted to pull for him, but this one is tough to see. All right, boys, let's go on to Grammies for the final segment of the night. Brought to you by Lafayette Travel and Eat Lafayette. All right, for Grammies tonight. You guys give me a prediction for 2026. I'll start with you, Lane, because you always go last. One thing that will go right for the athletics department in 2026, and one thing that will go wrong.
So going with the good first, I think that softball will get back to the postseason. They'll right the ship and get back to where they should be year after year, like they have been for the past 30 years. One thing that'll go wrong, it was a toss-up between the baseball program and football, but I just don't see the buy-in for the baseball team, and I think we end up with another losing season, and we'll be looking for a new coach.
All right, let's go to you, Cole. What are your thoughts?
So I think what has already happened in 2026 is what has gone right for the Cajuns. And what I mean by that is Lunch Winfield has declared that he will be coming back to play quarterback for the Cajuns next season. I think that is huge news for this university. It's actually one of the brightest of news headlines that we've had in a while. So I think what has already gone right for this university already happened. Lunch coming back is a huge deal, because to have your quarterback coming back is such it's a staple. It's one less thing that you got to worry about. You basically, the guy that's going to run your offense is coming back in the building. There's not a lot of news that can top that. What can go wrong for the Cajuns, and I hate saying this, I'm going to avoid baseball, Lane. I know you already said it. I'm kind of in Lane's boat. I do not expect the baseball team to be very good this year. I see them being as good as last year, unfortunately. Do I want improvement? Do I want us to be close to 35, 40 wins? Of course. I would love to eat my shrimp boots right here on this show, but I don't see it happening. But I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna use that as what's gonna go wrong. Unfortunately, what's gonna go wrong, I see, is football season 2026 when we are playing Louisiana Tech in our first Sunbelt game. If the Cajuns do not find a way to win that game in their first matchup with Louisiana Tech, who moved from, quote unquote, a lower level like the Conference USA, and, UL and the presidents and athletic directors that did everything they could to get Louisiana Tech into our conference. If we find a way to lose that game, that rivalry renewed game, that's a big L, like a really big L. So I think that in my mind, that's in the back of my head of that to me would be atrocious. That cannot happen.
All right, Jerry, your thoughts before I give mine.
Yeah, I'll be a little more specific. I'm with Lane and Cole. I think baseball is going to be, I'll start with the bad, or what could go wrong. I think I just don't have faith in the bullpen. I don't have faith in Cajuns pitching right now. You lose Simo. You had a 5-point 5-point ERA, whatever it was last year, a 5 ERA. I unfortunately expect that again this year. I think we're going to hit the ball a little bit better, but I just don't think pitching is going to carry us. I think it's going to be pretty brutal to watch us on the mound. Please, if you're hearing me, prove me wrong. Let this be motivation to you. But I think it's the Cajuns baseball is going to struggle because we're not going to pitch. I just have a bad feeling. It's too much turnover. Brand new coach, 4th pitching coach in 6 seasons. Really nobody that stands out outside of maybe JR. That's really it. So I just don't see that really panning out. And unfortunately, I think it's not gonna really help in our baseball season. The good. Lunch came back. I think the football team next year, if we stay healthy, keyword, stay healthy. I think if we stay healthy, we're going to be in the running for the West. I actually, with the guys we have coming in, the fact that we were able to, I know we lost Zylan and Bill, but I still think Darrell, Steven, and Karan's going to do a good job in the rushing attack. I think Lunch is going to be Lunch. I think we're going to actually have a good season in football if we stay healthy. That's the key thing. If we stay healthy, we will be in the running in the West, and I think it could be not a repeat of what happened last year, winning 10 games, but I think we'll be good enough to win 8 or 9 games. But that's a big question, but I'm very optimistic about it. Hopefully it turns out to be okay, because hopefully we can have a much better football season than we did this past year.
It'll be interesting to see in football next year. Look, will Lunch be our starting quarterback next year? That's my question. I know he is in our minds. Definitely, there's no question. But we also heard what happened in the spring, so we'll see what happens. I think keep an eye on the portal. If we pick any other quarterbacks up, there might be some. I don't trust the staff.
If he's not the starting quarterback next year, fire the whole staff.
I think he has to be, but I'm just saying.
What's the why would you bring him back and sign an NIL deal? He's not the starter.
The only way he's not going to be QB1 to start the season, if there's and I'm knocking on wood, and I'm only saying this as if he's injured in the offseason and he's not able to physically go week 1.
I didn't want to.
They're not bringing.
I didn't want to say it.
I know, but they're not bringing anybody in. This is his job. Literally the Lafayette community, the city of Lafayette, the Acadiana community, I should say, is rallying around this kid. We treated his announcement that he was coming back as it was Christmas morning to me, because I was not expecting him to be in a Cajuns uniform next season, if I'm being very honest. Same with Brent Gordon, who's still up in the air. I'm not expecting Brent Gordon to be here next year, but if he comes out tomorrow and says, "Hey, I'm back, baby," dude, it's gonna be 2 Christmases for me. So anyway.
I just want him to make it out of the spring. That's what I was trying to get at. And no, we will sign a quarterback. I'm telling you, there will be a quarterback in the portal that we sign. Not necessarily to be the starting quarterback, but we will sign a quarterback. That's what we do. We stack. We have 5-6 quarterbacks every year.
But Nick, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I think Walker's coming back, and we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything contrary to that. I mean, if Walker comes back, you still got Daniel Bill on the roster. You still got Sam Altman on the roster.
I think Albin's going to come back for sure. I'm 50-50 on Walker. I'm not sure if he's coming back. I think Beal's gonna sign with someone else. I really do.
Well, I told you that in our last show. If Lunch announced that he comes back, I did expect Daniel Beal to maybe move on, but we haven't heard that yet. But what I'm saying is, if by the time it's all said and done, if you got 4 quarterbacks in that room, you're not signing another one. I mean, but anyway, Lunch Winfield's going to be QB1, barring anything catastrophic.
Knock on wood. All right, boys, my thoughts on things that will go right for the Cajuns in 2026. I think we take a step forward in basketball, which is hard not to do when you've got 3 losses. But I think Q learns from his mistakes. I think he signs some much needed proven big guys and some proven rebounders, and hopefully we cut out the fouls. Of course, when you start fouling over and over and over and over again, then you're on the radar, and now other coaches are in the ear of the refs, and they know that, and you know how that goes. But that being said, I think we take a step forward next year in basketball. What does not go right for UL next year is a total complete overhaul of athletics. I'm not saying I'm not saying it would be that if Maggard stays, it's a disaster. I'm saying if Maggard doesn't do what needs to be done in that department to get us in the right way with NIL, with staffing, with community engagement, with treating the $500 donor like the $5 million donor, if we don't get that right, I don't, there's nothing in my mind that says they're going to get that right this year. They haven't. We have a proven history of not getting it right outside of the HUD years because we had HUD driving the boat. So, that to me is not going to be great this year. I think it's going to be par for the course in administration, where we need a complete overhaul and new energy. We need new engagement. I just don't feel it. So, unfortunately, that's my bad news of 26, but I do think basketball will take a step forward. Boys, it has been fun. We've gone longer than I thought. I didn't think we had that much content tonight, but we did end up, going long on a couple of things that I think deserved the attention. Want to thank our sponsors, as always, of course, the Best Stop Cajun Market locations in Karen Crow, Broussard, Toledo Bend, Baytown, Texas, Katy, Texas, which I go to all the time, and of course, the Mothership celebrating 40 years in Scott. If you have a chance, go tell them hello. We will be using their stuff for our tailgates, and of course, they are the official cracklins of Rage and Review. By the way, I'm telling you, those chicken cracklins are fire, man. I know Kurt's was the original, right? But I'm telling you, they put that Best Stop stuff on it. Call. By the way, Best Stop just came out with a recipe, and I think they're releasing at the Karen Crow store the boudin quesadillas. Ball. I got that recipe. I'm gonna make that this weekend. Some boudin. Why didn't we think about that, dude? We had boudin egg rolls. We had all boudin quesadillas. That's gonna be badass. I can't wait to try it. Boys, like, subscribe, go on Cajun Threads if you haven't already. Register there, because that's where we will be sending invites to the exclusive CFP watch party for the Natty. And when I tell you we have fun, we put the game on. It's a private stream, so we can do that. We'll have the game on the screen. You don't have to pull it up on your device. We'll have it here. We'll talk through it. It'll be a lot of fun. For my boy, Lane, for Jerry, for Cole, I am Nicholas. Y'all have a good night. And until next week, as always, go Cajuns.